anytime there's a challenge in this market, you want to look at that challenge as an opportunity. If you're not looking at the challenges in your life as an opportunity, then you're missing the mark.
Mm.
You're missing the mark. I think one of the great principles of entrepreneurialism is bouncing back with passion. And so when we face a hurdle, when we face a challenge, we want to get back up. We want to get after it just as quickly as possible. It's really your life depends on it, because the faster you bounce back from some type of an obstacle, the faster you're able to
Yeah.
get on to the next priority. And
Love
so
that.
I think that that's really the things that I'm looking forward to most coming into this new year.
Hey guys, if you've ever wanted to own a property on 30A, listen, I am with one of the top 250 agents in the entire country today, Jonathan Spears. Jonathan has been down here his entire life and has an amazing team. They've sold some of the highest end properties here on 30A, and we're going to share a lot today about what's going on in the market. So stay tuned. All right. So, Jonathan, you are a native here, right? You went to, or I guess you went to Tallahassee, went over to Florida State, but you are from Destin. So you grew up here, right?
Born and raised, one
Wow.
of the few true locals.
Amazing. So
My great grandfather was here, so
in Destin.
in Destin, yeah.
Wow.
Well, really Point Washington. Back then, there was no
Sure.
30A. It was just a dirt road with
Right.
chicken coops.
Right.
It's changed a little bit,
It
hasn't it?
has changed a little bit. So, man, you are almost like a Kobe Bryant type, except you did go to college,
I did.
but you had a truncated college, graduated like in record time, like 18, 19 years old,
Yeah.
and then went straight into real estate. So talk about that. You kind of went high school to pros, but like
Yeah.
had a little bit of college in there, but
Yeah,
graduated, you know?
I wish that I could say that it was some grand plan, right? I was 14 years old when I started college, very entrepreneurial, knew I wanted to go off to an Ivy League school or get out of this small town. I had grown up here. I had an appreciation for it, but I was very enamored by, global business. And so I wanted to study in London. I wanted to go abroad. I had a travel bug for sure. And it's funny, my mom dropped me off at school the first 2 years. So I never made it to Tallahassee. I don't think I took a single class in Tallahassee.
Oh, wow.
It was either online or we've got a great
wow.
Florida State campus in Panama City, which is a big plus for our area. But real estate wasn't necessarily a course that I thought I was going to take. Like in business school, they teach us that real estate agents, they're likened to used car salesmen. And, I had a passion for it. I loved architecture. I loved people. And during the time that I was graduating, it was 2008, 2009, 2010. That was when the global meltdown occurred.
Yeah.
So we went through the Great Recession, and that sort of shaped my future, and it really shaped my understanding of not only business and finance, but also this area and the opportunity that it had on a macro scale. Like our market's a baby market.
Yeah.
Our market really was incepted in early 2000s. So 2005 is when Alice Beach started,
Yeah.
and today Alice Beach is the highest price per square foot in all of North Florida and almost all of Florida.
Wow.
So we're really in a fortunate place, and I'm very thankful that I ended up down the path I did.
So what are you seeing now? I mean, things have changed a little bit this year, right?
Yeah.
Interest rates. So I'm sure you have a lot of cash buyers that come in. But how has it shifted? What are you seeing in terms of time on the market,
Yeah.
that sort of thing right now as people come in trying to buy a second home or,
Yeah.
investment property?
So what's shifted is really the velocity of sales. And so when we look year over year, our market's down in terms of velocity by 50%. So you're seeing half the amount of transactions occur. You still have quadrupled the amount of agents that we had 4 to 5 years ago. And, people feel this mass slowdown. The reality is in the last 12 months, I've sold the most expensive homes in my career.
Wow.
We've sold the most expensive house year to date in this market for just under 20 million in this same area that we're sitting in, Seagrove Beach, Florida. And quality is still perceived to be the most desirable aspect of the market. And so you have folks with generational wealth that's continuing to turn over. You're still having liquidity events coming out of this kind of pandemic fueled era of global business growth, and people are wanting to spend their time differently. And so this year we've seen travel change tremendously, just like we saw back in 2020 when travel came to a halt. It's like the floodgates opened and everybody went to Europe maybe 2, 3, 4 times in terms of your high net worth individual that would normally be down in this market. And so there's a lot more opportunity opportunities for distraction. And so for us, especially as real estate advisors, we're trying to let our sellers know that if you want to position yourself in the market and have an ability to catch a buyer's attention, you need one of two things. One, you need scarcity in the area of the market that you may own property, or you need value. And so those are the two things that we've really dug into with our team.
So what do you, when you hear people talk about now, I mean, heck, it wasn't even a place so many years ago. I mean,
Yeah.
it was just, a blip in the road.
Yeah.
They filmed the movie down in Seaside,
Yeah.
The
Truman
Truman
Show.
Show. But now there's, on the flip side, now there's concern about overbuilding. So
Right.
what do you talk about? Do people concerned with that you talk to,
Yeah.
or is that not a concern with your clients?
So what's interesting is when you think about overdevelopment of a specific area, I think anytime there's change, that nostalgia begins to create a fear of missing out.
Mm,
And so when people who are used to a certain aspect of 30A, they go,
mm,
"Oh my gosh, I'm afraid that it's not going to be what it used to be. I'm
yeah,
afraid that, this is going to be a major change for my family and a change for my, understanding of this market." The reality is we have a new crop of buyers, a new crop of traveler that's coming to the market every single week. There's people discovering 30A today that have
yeah,
never seen the beaches here before. We have a team of 25 people out of New York City that's here to shoot a major retail campaign for one of the biggest clothing lines in the world. And
yeah.
they've never been to 30A before. And they've come and they've looked at these beaches and they're going, "Oh my gosh, like we didn't know this
Right,
existed outside of the Bahamas."
right.
And so, what I'd say about overdevelopment is I think responsibly developing property in areas is obviously ideal. But when it comes to this market in particular, it's still emerging. It's still a market that's
Yeah.
relatively unknown to a large amount of the U.S. and of course the world.
Man, how do you people describe it in so many ways? The Hamptons of the South.
Yeah,
I mean, what else do you hear? I mean, because it's amazing. Like a friend of ours, Brian Yormack, a CPA, but
yeah,
he was from Denver. He came down. He had a brother in Miami, so he'd been to South Florida. But
yeah.
there's people in South Florida even that live in the state, and they don't have any
Most.
idea,
Yeah.
like, when they come and they're just like, "Holy, smokes, I didn't realize that these," especially
Yeah.
right out there on the
It makes
beach.
sense though, because South Florida is in a completely different time zone.
Yeah.
I mean, we're 2 hours from the Eastern time zone. When I tell people in the Northeast that, hey, set our appointment on Central time, they go, "What do you mean Central time? Like, I thought that's only reserved for Chicago, you know?" Like,
The
but no, we're really,
Panhandle, baby.
yeah, we're really just a different environment. I think that's the opportunity though, is to be in this place, to have the opportunity to really showcase from a PR standpoint. The
Mhm.
Hamptons of the South was a term that our team really tried to take and leverage with major, global news publications like the Wall Street Journal and
Yeah.
Mansion Global and Forbes to showcase our market in a light that people could understand and it was articulated well. I think what's cool about that too is when I look at the national GDP, the top five southern states, which is Florida, the Carolinas, which sort of surprised me, Tennessee, and Texas, those areas have a greater accumulation of GDP than the rest of the US. And so it used to be the top five Northeastern states that
Wow.
led in terms of global business or US business growth. Now it's the top five Southern states. And it makes sense with all the migration we've had to Florida.
A lot of migration to Tennessee, all the
Yeah.
southern states, and
Yeah.
so what I see a lot of is, people from LA, people from Chicago, they're
Right.
moving to the South, even if it's, Georgia, Tennessee, whatever. But they got to figure out, okay, where does everybody go?
Right.
And well, this is where we go.
Yeah.
It's 6.5 hours, or it's a 30-minute, 45-minute flight,
Yeah.
to Panama City, or an hour to Destin. And, we're right here in the middle between those two airports. So
Yeah.
it makes it pretty sweet, right?
Very sweet. Yeah, it's easy. We used to be so let's go backwards to the days where I was like, "Oh my gosh, I need to be in London or I need to be in New York or I need to be in California." What I didn't appreciate and what we learned to appreciate so much during COVID is that a third of the United States can drive to this market. They don't
Yeah.
have to continue down the Florida
Wow.
Turnpike and take another 8 hour trip to Miami.
Right.
That's grueling, especially when you've got a family. You guys have kids,
Yeah.
and you have siblings too. So you know what it's like to be in a car that long.
Yeah.
For us, we have an easy access to the rest of the United States, and it creates a sort of barrier in the market that drives demand.
Yeah. What are you seeing, Jonathan, coming up right now as we move into winter,
Yeah.
move into January? What are you thinking as we move into this, you and your team? Which, by the way, you have now, what, 13
Yeah.
total agents?
Yep,
So
that's right.
ranked in the Wall Street Journal
Yeah.
as one of the top 11 teams in the country, and then
Yeah.
number 250 in terms of individual agents. So congrats on that, bro,
Hey,
as
thanks,
well.
brother.
So, but what are you seeing coming up? I mean, how is this new sort of world that we're in? That's just a lot of people are sort of frozen,
Yeah.
but there's still transactions happening,
Yeah.
right?
Can I be
Every
honest?
day.
I'm so thankful.
Yeah, right.
You want to know why? Because this is an opportunity for market share to be had.
Yeah.
Quality is always going to rise to the top. The problems, the complexities of issues that people are having today aren't necessarily what can I find? How quickly can I find it? It's, can I have an advisor help me navigate
Yeah.
this market?
Yeah.
Can I have somebody who truly understands the micro aspects of the market help me move and shake? And what I've talked to my team about is that relationships are everything. And during COVID, we didn't have time. We didn't have time
It's
to really
just a
do
rush.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I love to serve my client. I love to talk to them. I want to spend time with them. And when I feel like I'm being pulled in 200 different directions, I can't serve
That's a great
properly.
point.
And so I think we're at this point in the market where agents who don't have a marathon mindset are going to quit.
Yeah.
They're going to
Yeah.
quit because they're tired of sprinting up a hill.
Yeah.
They didn't think about it in terms of, how well can I get at my craft? It's how quickly can I get to this destination of closing a deal?
Yeah.
And when we have that mindset of sprinting to the finish line, we forget that the entire game is played with 99% on the field and 1%, if we're fortunate, in the end zone. And so
Yeah.
if you don't fall in love with playing that field, you don't fall in love with, trying to gain an extra yard every time you snap the ball,
No
every
doubt.
time you get in touch with a client, every time you build a relationship, then you're going to burn out.
I
It's just
love
as
that.
simple as that. So for me, I'm excited.
Yeah.
I look at my team and I'm so thankful because I've got people that love others. They love to serve. And those are the people that are going to win in this market.
And so you guys, you've got 13 agents. I'm sure they've got connections
Yeah,
all over the U.S. And so
absolutely.
talk about kind of what that looks like for you in terms of like serving your clients, as far as, what does it look like in terms of people coming down,
Yeah.
new construction, resale? What are your clients, what are clients asking for right now?
So, two things. One, they're looking at how they spend their time. And if they're already here, they're looking at the pain points of the properties that they own. So maybe they've got new grandchildren coming into the picture and, they don't have enough bedrooms to kind of accommodate their growing family.
Yeah.
Or, they may be looking at, hey, I bought this as a rental property and it's not making enough money to really hold the note. I got a 5-year balloon. I bought this in 2020. We're about to be in 2024. There's uncertainty happening. And so we've got 2 points of inflection. One is value, and then the other is how people spend their time. And so we're really focusing on those 2 areas and how we're able to advise people based on their specific situation.
And before we got on, we were talking about really quality of construction.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are just deferring to quality right now, right? So talk about the
Absolutely.
new construction right now. I know you
Yeah.
represent some projects and so forth.
Yeah. So I'm involved both personally and globally in terms of trying to bring the best inventory to the market and really pioneering what the luxury market looks like in Northwest Florida. In Miami-Dade County, for example, everything is concrete construction. They don't allow you to build with stick frame. In this market, we've got a hodgepodge, right? We'll have old cinder block homes that have no rebar in them, all the way to 2x4 houses that they kind of look like shacks,
Right.
And so what we're seeing is sort of this revitalization of the area, especially like when you look at Seaside. It's a great example.
Yeah.
Seaside is a grandfather of new urbanism, and it's the center of 30A. Seaside was all 2x4 stick shacks.
Yeah.
And they've started to be revitalized and people are investing in that quality. And I think that that's so exciting because for us, we want to be able to serve the market, but we want to be able to confidently say, hey, this is a great investment. This is a legacy.
Yeah.
And your family's going to be able to enjoy this for many years to come.
I mean, there's some amazing homes. Talk about maybe one of the coolest homes you sold, or what's I can think of one, right? But
I got a couple.
Yeah.
We've got a mutual friend in Franklin,
Yeah.
Tennessee. They owned one of the icons of this market, which is a house that we call Mont Blanc.
Yeah.
And so it sits in the center of 30A in Seagrove Beach. It's just over 9,000 square feet. It took 5 years to build. Cast and poured construction, commercial style style construction. What that means is everything is framed, cast with steel rebar, and then they pour concrete. And it's like watching, a turtle run a marathon because it just takes so long. But at the end
Yeah.
of the race, it's an amazing feat. And then you get this beautiful property that, it doesn't matter what kind of storm comes. It's just fortified. It's meant to be there for forever
It's
and
got a little
ever.
pool on the top
Dude,
too.
it's got multiple pools.
Yeah, when you're up on this house,
Yeah,
you don't. It's almost like you're in Greece because you really
absolutely.
can't see down and see the commoners or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know, but you can see the tip of Destin and Panama City out on the edges, and you really start to realize why the water is so beautiful because you're sort of in this little cup, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you are. So the architect designed the house. When you use construction, or concrete construction, you don't necessarily have to have 90-degree angles everywhere. And so you get this kind of rotund view, which is our natural view of the world. And so that home was really designed to have a natural view of
mm,
the beauty of this coast.
yeah,
And so it's one of my favorites. I mean, it's going to be hard to ever beat that one. It's
yeah.
amazing.
Well, what do you got coming up? I know today's your
Yeah.
anniversary. Happy anniversary
Thank
to you
you.
and
Yeah,
Julian.
10-year
So,
wedding anniversary.
10 years, and that's to be celebrated. So,
By
congrats
far
to
my
you guys.
greatest feat.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So, what's coming up for you? What are you excited about as we move into the next quarter, moving into the new year?
So many things. We've got amazing inventory coming up. So not only do we have the opportunities in the market, right? The deceleration that's happening. Anytime there's a challenge in this market, you want to look at that challenge as an opportunity. If you're not looking at the challenges in your life as an opportunity, then you're missing the mark.
Mm,
You're missing the mark. I think one of the great principles of entrepreneurialism is bouncing back with passion. And so
mm,
when we face a hurdle, when we face a challenge, we want to get back up. We want to get after it just as quickly as possible. It's really your life depends on it because the faster you bounce back from some type of an obstacle, the faster you're able to
yeah,
get on to the next priority. And
love
so
that.
I think that that's really the things that I'm looking forward to most coming into this new year. And
Yeah.
then on top of that, I mean, we've got the most expensive listing in the market for 25 million that is finally being finished, furnished after 6 years of construction.
Yeah.
And so we're going to have the opportunity to market that product as a finished home, and it couldn't be more exciting. I'm going to have you over to it.
Love it.
It's
Love
close
it.
by.
So, guys, so people want to work with you, or if you're out there, you're thinking, man, I would love to be part of this team. Maybe try to get an interview with Jonathan. How do they reach you? How do they contact you?
Yeah, so Instagram is probably the best one. So add Jonathan M. Spears
There you go.
and add Spears Group, or you can email me anytime. But I go to spearsgroupfl.com and you can learn more about our team and more about us.
Quality team, selling a bunch of quality real estate. So, thanks for being on, brother. It's
Thanks,
always good to
brother.
see you.
Yeah,
So,
we just do
all
what
right,
we
man.
love.
Thanks. All right, guys, we'll see you next time.